Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's Local Joe here. So today I thought I'd talk about some real estate stuff. Originally, that was why I started my podcast, was to help get my name out there, get myself known in the community, as far as being a real estate agent and investor. So today I thought I'd start by talking about the BRRRR Method. This isn't something I made up. This is something that actually got me started on my real estate career. I used to listen to a lot of books about murder mysteries and things like that, and I really enjoyed them. But what I found was that they're kind of a waste of time, just because. I mean, I guess if you're going to be a detective in a major city somewhere, learning the way they investigate crimes through these books would be a great benefit to you. But in my everyday life, I found that being able to solve crimes didn't really help, and probably made me more suspicious of people just listening to some of these books than I probably should be. So, to me, that was kind of like, well, I guess if I spent all my time listening to books about something else, then I would probably get real familiar with that subject as well. So the first thing I listened to was this book called BRRRR by David Green from Bigger Pockets. And what it talks about is how you can really increase your portfolios of real estate rentals by using the BRRRR method. And so what it is it's BRRRR. So the first B stands for buy. So I'm just going to kind of briefly talk about each one a little bit, and then at some point I'll probably go into it in more detail in a different video. But so the first B, buy. So you find a house. Typically, you're looking for something that you can add value to. Because what we're going to do later is we're going to refinance it and pull some money out. So the more better, the more better, the better we make the house. You know, that it was when we started, the more value we add to it, the more money we're going to be able to pull out. So that's where you can really increase the amount of money you're able to pull out and almost get all your cash back, or even sometimes get extra cash out of the house and have nothing into it by the end of the deal. So, anyways, buy. So, there's a lot that goes into buying, and we'll talk about that later. Research what markets you're going to get into, what type of properties you're going to get, how you're going to finance it, all that kind of stuff. So the next one is that first R stands for rehab. So this is where you're adding your value to the home. There's lots of different rehabs, levels that depending on what you're comfortable with. If you have contractors that you're familiar with working with, that can be a whole another challenge. So you definitely want to make sure that at least on your first couple, you're doing something that you're familiar with. You're not jumping, I'm not saying you shouldn't jump into new territory. Obviously, the only way you grow is from doing new things and making yourself uncomfortable. But you also want to get a win on your first deal or two so that you don't just quit. So that is a big challenge for some people, is just overcoming those first obstacles, because you might run into them, especially if you start dealing with contractors. So, anyways, rehab. So this is where you're adding your value. You may be, maybe you're just painting. Maybe you just got such a good deal on the house that there isn't much rehab to do. But typically, if you're going to be adding value, you're going to probably have to do a rehab of some sort. Now, this could be changing the way the house is used too. A lot of times, what people do is to add extra value to the home. They may even split it so they can have a separate rental in the back, or maybe turn the garage into another rental unit. So those are all different ways that you can do it. But you can also just upgrade the house. Maybe it just needed siding or needed a new roof, all those type of things, heating, cooling, anything you can do to add value. So that's the first R. The next one is rent. So the plan that we're doing here is for buy and hold rentals. So we're trying to accumulate as many buy and hold rentals as we can. That's my plan. That's what I want to do, so that later on I can just have a bunch of rentals that I own that are hopefully ran by a property management company that I don't have too much involvement with. Or depending on what I want to do, maybe I do want to be involved. That's all up to you and what you want to do. So, anyways, rent. So you need to find a good renter, get the place rented out, get it stabilized. You can then take a loan out for it against the house. Because what happens a lot of times is when people start to try to accumulate rentals, they run out of credit, basically, because their debt to income ratio doesn't allow them to buy any more than one or two homes before they've run out of money. So they have what is called DSCR loans, their debt service credit ratio loans, and they treat the property as a more like a business than they don't look at your personal income. They're looking at how much money is the actual property bringing in, and then they will give you credit that way. So those are ways that you can accumulate more rentals in a shorter period of time because you're not relying on your W-2 income or whatever source of income you're using to buy your first couple of houses. So yeah, so you're trying to get a renter in there. That's a whole nother subject again, where finding the proper person to rent it, making sure that you're not having high turnover rates. A month down will kill all your profit for the whole year. Not for the whole year, but you understand the point. You don't want people moving in and out. You want someone that's going to stay there. They're going to take care of their property. They're just looking for a good place to live, and you're providing that, and you're helping each other out. So, I used. So we'll go into that subject more later. So let's move on to the next R now. So now you've got the house, you bought it, you've rehabbed it, you've rented it out, and now we're to the third R. This is where you start to get your money back. So what you do is you refinance it. And the nice thing about refinancing the house is when you go to, after you've done all your value add, and you've got a renter in there that is pulling in so much income or whatever, you get the money, you refinance the house based on those qualifications. When you pull your money back out, the goal is to have no money into the home at this point after you refinance. So let's take a quick example. So say you bought a house for 100,000, just to make the numbers easy, and you put 20,000 into it. And now after doing all that work and getting the deal that you got, your house you think is worth 150. You can see how that would be beneficial to you, especially when you pull the money out. The nice thing about pulling money out through a refinancing is that you actually don't have to pay taxes on that money because it's not considered income because you still owe the money back. So there's lots of great things about real estate, especially rentals. There's other tax advantages and stuff, and we'll talk about that other stuff in a different episode too. But right now, the whole thing you need to do is that you need to understand is that the whole point of the BRRRR method is to be able to accumulate more homes faster. If you listen to David's book, the one thing that was really interesting to me about it is he does the math on if you just bought one house a year, I think it was for 15 years, what your portfolio would look like, or if you use the BRRRR method and did a similar time frame, what your portfolio would look like, and it was drastically different. So. And then, so now we're to the final R, which is repeat. And this is where the accumulation comes in and where you start to get a lot bigger portfolio. So you just keep doing the same thing. And, for me, when you think about it, you see people investing in stocks and things like that. And, I just think real estate is such a better way to go. And we'll definitely get into that in a different episode. But, it's a tangible asset. You can get insurance against it. It definitely doesn't just disappear and fold up and go bankrupt in one night. So there's just tons of reasons why real estate to me is just such a great investment. So anyways, the BRRRR strategy, that's our first real estate lesson, and we got more coming up hopefully in the future. Not hopefully, for sure in the future. So I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Bye. Have a good Sunday.